So now we're talking about trying to find the information that is missing on a triangle, which is no longer a right triangle, right? Such as the one that's on here. There's an obtuse angle triangle. And that's when SOHCAHTOA doesn't work anymore. And this is what we have to work with. It's either the sine law or the cosine law. And one of the things you have to figure out is which one is it? Is it the sine law or is it the cosine law? Well, my rule of thumb is this. Do the sine law test. If you pass the sine law test, use sine law. That's my rule, right? Sine law is easier to work with. Look at the formula. It's much easier to play with sine law than it is with the cosine law. So my rule is, if sine law can work, use it. If it passes the sine law test, use sine law. Here's what the sine law test is. For me to be able to use the sine law, I need to have a side and an angle where I know both of them that are opposite to each other. When I say opposite to each other, for instance, this 119 is opposite to that x. This 12 is opposite to this angle. This 12 is opposite to that angle. So though the word opposite comes up when we're dealing with SOHCAHTOA, it's the angle that's furthest away from the side that we call the opposite angle. Sorry. So look around and see if I can find that match. If I can find that match, if I can find a side and an angle opposite to each other, you know, the one that's furthest away from the side is the one that's opposite. If I can find that match, it passes the sine law test, and I'm going to use the sine law because it's easier. There are some triangles that I can use both, sine law or cosine law. I would always opt for the sine law if it's possible. So let's see if this one passes the sine law test, and if it does, we'll use the sine law. Let's see if we can find a side opposite to an angle where we know both the side and the angle. We know this side, but we don't know this angle. That's a cross right there. That doesn't work. We know this side, but we don't know this angle. That also didn't work. We know this angle, but we don't know that side. It just failed the sine law test. So that means that anytime you fail the sine law test, you only have one alternative, and that's the cosine law. So we're going to go to the cosine law now and see, are we trying to find a side or are we trying to find an angle? If we're trying to find a side, then it's the top formula that we're going to use. If we're trying to find an angle, it's the bottom formula that we're going to use. That's why I've labeled it that way. And I'll give that to you on a test. All right, so don't worry about necessarily writing it down. You'll get it on a test. You'll get the formulas. And I will even label it. This is the one for angles. This is the one for sides. So I want you to look at this triangle now. We've already figured out that we have to use the cosine law. We don't have a choice. We don't have the match. It doesn't pass the sine law test. So we're going to try to set it up using this formula right here. A squared equals b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cosine a. Now you're probably wondering, so which side is the a, which side is the b, which side is the c? Well, the side that you're trying to find will become your a. In this case, that's the x. So I'm going to go ahead and set this up now. I'm going to say that x squared, let's see, I'll put this up here, is equal to the 12 squared plus the 12 squared minus 2 times 12 times 12 cosine, sorry about that, folks, I'm putting it up here in the corner, cosine of 119. Okay? When you're trying to find a side, it's not that hard, right? You're going to have two, if it's a cosine law, you're going to have two sides that are what's called, have the included angle, the angle that's in between the two sides. That's a definite hint that you need the cosine law. We're trying to find the side that's opposite to that known angle. So let's work this through. So x squared is equal to 144 plus 144 minus 2 times 144, oh dear, cosine of 119. I apologize for the board. I can't do any better. I don't think I can write on the screen. Or, I don't know. Let's see. I have this thing out. No, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Yeah, useless. So that's okay. So get your calculators out now. And if it's a calculator like mine, it will just allow you to put it in exactly the way it looks. And what you're going to have now is your x squared, not your x. Your goal is to find x. So if I have x squared, how do I actually find what x is then? You square root it. So I want you to take your calculators out. I'll put it on my calculator as well. And let's all do this one together. And again, please make sure you're in the right mode. So 12 squared plus, and I'm putting it in exactly the way it looks, 12 squared minus 2 times 12 times 12, or 244, or 2 times 144, times the cosine of 119. Okay? Let me just scroll through all of this so you can see what I just put in. 12 squared plus 12 squared minus 2 times 12 times 12, cosine of 119. Hit the OK button. Remember now, when I asked the question a few minutes ago, Sahil said that this answer is the square of the answer. For me to get the actual answer, I now need to find the square root of this. I'm not going to suggest that you write anything down when you're doing this. Leave it in the calculator. Let the calculator do the work. Almost every calculator that's assigned to the calculator will retain the last answer for another calculation. Yes, Jay? You get an error? All right, we're going to figure out why that is in just a minute. All right? So there's my answer so far. Now, for my calculator and for many of yours, I hit my square root sign and then just hit answer, this key right down here, which means it's taking my last answer and putting it into my calculation. So I didn't have to write anything down. And most of you have that key on your calculator as well. It may be a second function or something you have to hit to get there, but you're going to have an answer key there somewhere. So I'm going to hit my answer key. So it means I'm taking my last answer to get my final answer. I'm going to hit equals. And that is the answer I'm looking for. But it says to the nearest hundredth. So again, that's 2 decimal places. So I'm looking at this and thinking, put my finger here. The last number is a 7. Should I leave that as a 7 or should it go up to an 8? Well, if that's a 9 behind it, it means I need to go up by 1. So that's 20.68. And that's what I'm going to put. 20.68. That okay? And I got the first one right. All right. If anybody is having trouble with that, I know Chase said he did. I'm going to go across and help him out right now. Okay. Let's see if this one passes the sine law test. Do I have an angle opposite to a side where I know both? Let's see if I do. Here's my side. Here's my angle. It's blank. Here's my side. Here's my angle. That's also blank. Here's my angle. Here's my side, but I don't know both. I only know the side. I don't know the angle. Sorry, the other way around. I only know the angle. I don't know the side. It just failed the sine law test again. So when that fails, we go back to the cosine law, and it is almost exactly like the one we just did. Let's go through the process again then. Let's see if we can get everybody to get it right this time. Did it work for, who was the person? Did it work this time for you? Okay, perfect. So here we go. Let's see if the board is going to cooperate a little bit better for me this time. I'm going to start writing over here. X squared is equal to 2 squared plus 1 squared minus 2 times 1 times 2 cosine of 43. And I want this answered again to the nearest hundredth. So go through this. It's a good thing that it goes another one like it, because then we can use the same procedure again. Go through and put those into your calculator. Use that same answer key again. So when you get the first answer, and it has to be part of your second answer, press your square root key, then you press your answer key, you get your answer. Okay? Yes, Gary? It does not. It does not. No. Good question. No, it does not. So 2 squared plus 1 squared minus 2 times 1 times 2 times the cosine of 43. Yes, Shreyash. You can say what you got, and if it's wrong, you know we're going to all blame you, right? I'm just kidding. Go ahead. 1.44. So what you're saying is that when you found all of this and square rooted it, you got 1.44 to the nearest hundredth. I'm going to hit that OK button if it's OK with you. Yes? Okay. Remember, I got mine right. So let's see if you can get yours right as well. Okay. Huh. Interesting. Interesting. Let me erase this. How is this one different? What do you notice about this one? Yes. Trying to find an angle. But we still have to use the sine law test. Because sometimes when you're trying to find an angle, you can use a sine law. But is the sine law going to help us out this time? Sine law says find a side opposite to an angle where you know both. Let's see if it passes that test. I know this side, I don't know this angle. I know this side, I don't know this angle. This is not going very well. I know this side, and the angle that is opposite to it is a missing angle. It just failed the sine law test again. So guess what? We're going to have to go to the cosine law again. But instead of using the one for sides, let me use the one for angles. Yes. All done? Great. Thank you. We're going to use the one for angles this time. So you're probably thinking, okay, that's nice. But how am I going to fit it into this with the A's and the B's and the C's? That's the thing I'm not sure about, Mr. Kamok. Which one is the A? Which one is the B? Which one is the C? Very simple. The angle that you're trying to find will automatically be your A. Anytime you have three sides, it is the cosine law. Let me just tell you that. Anytime you're trying to do anything with a triangle that only has all three sides and no angles, that's going to be the cosine law because it's going to fail the sine law test. You need an angle in order to pass the sine law test. If there are no angles, then it means it's cosine law. So we're going to use the cosine law, A, and B, we're going to use that as our A. The side that, or the angle that's missing automatically becomes your A. Okay? Now, when I say it's your A, it means the A occurs twice in this. There's an uppercase A and there's a lowercase A. Can anybody tell me what the difference is between those two? Yes, go ahead, please, Atifa. Perfect. The side that's opposite to it. So I'm going to label this then. I'm going to call this my A, uppercase. I'm going to call this also A, lowercase, because that's the side that's opposite to it. Does it matter which one is B and which one is C? No, doesn't matter. I'll make this one B, lowercase b, because it's a side, which means that this one becomes, my upper, that's supposed to be a B. I'll try again. That means that becomes my uppercase B, but that's an angle. So I have my A's, I have my B's. I'm going to call this one my C, uppercase C, and that's my lowercase c. Side and angle opposite to each other. Okay. Let's follow what the cosine law says now. Cosine law says for angles, the cosine of A, so remember the unknown angle is my A. So the cosine of x, in other words, is equal to b squared minus c squared, lowercase b, which is 17 squared, plus c squared, lowercase c, which is 20, minus lowercase a, which is 15. And all of these on top are squared. And all of that is over 2 times these two sides. 2 times 17 times 20. Not squared anymore, just 2 times 17 times 20. Well, get your calculators out. Here's what I suggest you do this time around. Work out everything on top and work out everything on the bottom. 17 squared, I'm going to say that's, actually, I don't know. I think it's 289. Yeah. 289 plus, that looks like 400. And it's not cooperating, folks. It's just not cooperating. This is supposed to be 400 minus 15 squared is 225, I believe. All over 2 times 17 times 20. 17 times 2 would be 34 times 2. I'm going to say 680. Folks, I'm using my head. That might be wrong. Okay, is that good? Oh, wow, okay. I think I just impressed myself. Okay, good. All right. So I know you can't read all of this, but let me just read it back to you. 289 plus 400 minus 225, all was 680. So this is what my cosine of x is. All right? Now, I'm not going to try this. Add these two together and subtract the 225. I'm out of mental math at this point. You do it. What does that work out to be? 289 plus 400 minus 225. What is the top of this working out to be? 464. Thank you. And the bottom of this is 680. So what do I do now? How do I, yes, Wanya? We have to use the inverse. That's right. So x is equal to cosine to the minus 1 of 464 over 680. So that's where you come in. There's no way I'm doing that in my head. Okay? I need some help. Okay, Sarah has an answer first. Oh, by the way, I want this to the hundredth. I'm going to put that in exactly as Sarah just said it, 46.97. Yes, Gary. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I want to make sure I got it right, Sarah. 46.97. Okay. You have your hand up. You don't like that answer. You're what? Maybe you're right and she's wrong. I'm going to hit the OK button and find out right now. That's so dry. I mean, really. That's so dry. Anyway, um, thank you, Sarah. So obviously we got that right. The two wrong, remember, are just the arbitrary ones that we did. We're not paying attention to that. Okay. This one, I'm going to erase all this stuff again. It'll be in the video, hopefully. I mean, I failed the first time with that. Let me clear that away. Does this one pass the sine law test? Remember, we're looking for a combination. Angle, side, we know both. Che is nodding his head and saying, yeah, this one passes, Mr. Kamak. There is a combination that I can use. And by the way, that's important that we have that because not only does it pass the test, but that's our starting point if it does pass the test. Right? So the question is, does it pass the test? Is there an angle and a side where we know both? Because if there is, we're going to use the sine law. Okay? Yes. Question. Can't see the numbers. Okay. All right. So let's see what we can do about that. Does that help a little bit? Okay. All right. So, which combination do we have which makes us fairly confident that this can be the sine law? Yes, Shamin. 31 and 6, right there. Combination. Angle opposite side. We know them both. That would be our sine law. That passes that test. So the question now becomes, do I use the top version or the bottom version? Depends on what I'm trying to find, an angle or a side. Yes, because we're trying to find an angle. So the way I'm going to set this up is, I'm going to first of all put the very thing that Charmaine just gave us, which is a combination that we said we had. I'm going to put the sine of that very angle over the side that's opposite to it. So the sine of 31 over the 6. The thing that we have, the combination that we said we needed is where I'm going to start off. And that's equal to, now we're going to bring in the one that we need to find. So we have another angle and side combination, but we only know half of that. The half that we have is the side, but we don't have the angle. So I'm going to follow what that law says. Look at the second version. I'm going to use this sine b over b. Now, how do I know it's b? Well, it's the one that we're trying to find. So it's the sine of x, because we don't know what x is, over the side, which is 11. Make sense? And you've done sine law before, hopefully. So sine of 31 over 6 is equal to sine of x over 11. So the angles are all on top. And that's how I recommend you do this when you are solving for sine law. Put the thing you don't know on top. So what we don't know is the angle, so putting it on top. All right. Any suggestions as to where we go next? Any ideas as to where we go next? Okay, I see Manahill's hand up over here. Thanks, Jay. And thanks, Sarah. Yes. We're going to cross multiply. We're going to take the bottom of this side times the top of this side. So 11 sine 31 over 6 is equal to the sine of x. Right? We're cross multiplying. We're taking the bottom of this times the top of that over the 6. But again, here's the other problem. I'm not interested in the sine of x. The question is saying, what's x equal to? Sine of x, that doesn't help me. That's not the answer. That's not what I want. I want x. So how do I go from the sine of x, yes, Jay, to x? We have to do the sine inverse. So my next line is going to say that x itself is equal to sine to the minus 1 of whatever this thing is. 11 sine, whoa. No, I just need to erase that part. 11 sine 31 over 6. Okay? And I would suggest, if you're using a calculator like mine, and probably yours, if you haven't asked for one of mine, then you probably have one that does something like it, that you just do this. Don't do this first and then find sine to the minus 1. Just do it in one step. Hit your sine to the minus 1, which is usually a second function key, right? And then open your bracket. Sometimes the calculator will open the bracket for you when you press the sine to the minus 1. If it doesn't, then open a bracket. In the bracket, put the 11 sine 31 divided by the 6, close your bracket, hit equals. Let's hear some answers. And I need this answer to be to the nearest 100, so that's 2 decimal places. Okay? Who wants to volunteer an answer that they think they can be proud of? Who thinks they have a number that they think will work? 11 sine 31 over 6 to 2 decimal places. Okay, so Suchir is pretty confident about his answer. Go for it. You got it, or that's what the answer is? Thank you. 7 point what? 7.78. Okay, that's what I heard. So I'm going to put in. Anybody else have something else? Just hold your fire. 7.78 is what he said. Oh, 70.7. 70. 70.78. That's your answer? Can I hit okay? I like that. That guy's confident. Yeah. Put confidence beside that guy's name. And he has good reason. All right. Let me clear all of that. Okay. Yes. All right. You know what to do? All right. Does this pass the sine law test? Let's hear what Atifa thinks. Atifa, what do you think? It does. Tell me the combination that we have that's going to make this magic happen. Perfect. That's the combination that's going to make this work. We have this angle We have that side, it just passed the sine law test. Why use cosine law if you don't have to? Right? If the sine law is going to work, you're going to work the sine law. All right. So, do I use the top version of the sine law or the bottom version of the sine law? Yes, the top one, because I'm trying to find a side. Remember, the thing you're trying to find, you put on top generally. Okay? So here we go. We're going to put the 8 over the sine of 81. The 8 goes on top, sine of 81 goes at the bottom. Is equal to the side that we don't know, which we're going to call x, over the sine of the angle opposite to it, which is 53. Okay? So Abdullah, how do I go from that to getting my actual x? What do you think is my next move? Nice. Tell me what that looks like. So x equals what? Absolutely correct. This goes on top with that. So 8 times sine of 53 divided by the sine of 81 to give us the answer. And it's x equals. It's not the sine of x is equal to. It's just x itself. It's just actual x itself. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much, by the way. So let's see. Athuzan. Last time you didn't do as well as we wanted it to. Let's see if you can put it in the calculator right. Not the cell phone, but the calculator. And let's see if you can get the answer rounded to 2 decimal places. That says 100. So let's take out the earphone for me, please. Thank you. Need the answer rounded to 2 decimal places. We're not going to contradict you. We're just going to take your answer, put it in, hit that OK button when you're sure. All right? So let's give Athuzan a chance to redeem himself. Let's see what happens. I'm going to put that in the box. Then I'm going to ask if you're ready to hit OK. 6.47 is what the man said. All right, here we go. 6.47. Oh, got the thumbs up. That means I can hit the box. Now we're 4 and 7 right now. The 7 we got wrong are just arbitrary questions that we didn't really pay any attention to. Don't put your hand up. I'm gonna hit OK. I'm gonna hit OK. That's what he said. He gave me the thumbs up. Okay? The man gave me the thumbs up. All right? So here we go. Nice. Sure. Oh, you had a question. I thought you were going to question. I thought you were contradicting him. All right. Okay. By the way, well done. You've redeemed yourself. All right. How did I get the setup here? Oh, okay. So let me compliment you for asking the question. We cross multiplied. We want to get the x on top. So why did we take the bottom of this side and multiply by the top of that side? Okay, we don't have to take the top, take this and multiply by that. We're just going to take the bottom of that and multiply by the top of that. So 8 times this, which is what we have here, over what was there before, which is the sine of 81. Okay? And thank you for that question. I appreciate that. And then we got the right answer. So now we're on to the next question. Does this pass the sine law test? Ashton, what do you say to that? It does. Thank God, because sine law is so much easier to work with. Do we use the top or the bottom version of the sine law? Yes. The top version, like we just did. So it's a very similar question to the one we just did. So we're going to do exactly that. We're going to put the combination that we know, which is the 40 and the 4. That's the combination we know. The side goes on top. So 4 over the sine of 40 is equal to, the side goes on top, x over the sine of 91. This is almost a right triangle. Not quite a right triangle. It's very close to being a right triangle. Tell me about that next step again that we did after that, Shaluja. What's that next step again? Good. So 4 sine 91 divided by the sine of 40, right? And that's equal to our x. Okay, Anjali, you're right behind Shaluja. Give me your answer, please. And give me your answer correct to two decimal places. 6.6.2, 6.22. Okay, got it. Nobody contradict that. I'm going to put that in exactly as you said it. All right. Is it okay for me to hit okay? Got a thumbs up there? Let me erase all of this. It's much easier using the smart board for this, but I just wanted to actually do the questions on the board as they came up. All right. Does this Sana pass the sine law test? Apply the test. Does it pass? You're saying no. The sine law? Oh no, that's bad. Because if it doesn't pass the sine law test, which it doesn't, by the way, you're right, you're going to have to use cosine law again. And I'm just going to tell you this. Anytime you have all three sides, it is a cosine law. Right? That might be the quick way to get to it. Once you have all three sides in a triangle, it is a cosine law. So that's our x down there. Now I need somebody to help me to set this up. Here's what we're going to be using because we're trying to find a missing angle. Try to decide which numbers we're going to square and add together, which one we're going to subtract, so that we're going to put that over 2 times b times c. Okay, looks like Abel is ready to go on this one. Abel, talk to us. Okay, go. What do I write? Cosine of x, good. I start here. I don't know, you tell me. Mm-hmm. Well done. So the 14 squared plus the 26 squared, and then minus the 27 squared, because this is your A. This is your combination, which would represent your A. That's your angle A, that's your side A, absolutely. Okay, so 14 squared plus 26 squared minus 27 squared, all over, keep going. Mm-hmm. Good. Now, I can tell you right now that I don't know how to square all those numbers, so I'm not even going to try. Okay? I can square 14, and then after that, I fall flat. I can't do it. So I'm going to need you to help me out here. What is the 14 squared plus 26 squared minus 27 squared? Put it all together. And then what is 2 times 14 times 26? Put that all together, and let's get this right. All right? I need some help. Let me come over here and talk to Nakib. Nakib, get your calculator out. Tell us what's on top. Tell us what's on the bottom. I think I'm doing okay-ish with the names. I think I'm almost there. I should probably do a once around the room and see if I get everybody. But let's just keep going for now. Go ahead, please. 142, 143, and on the bottom? 728. Let me give you a little word of advice. Sometimes this thing works out to be negative. That can happen. So the top, when you do the subtraction, works out to be negative. Does everybody know what that might cause if it works out to be a negative number on top? It can. Let me just tell you that right now. Does everybody know what would happen if that number on top was negative? What would that mean about your answer? Anybody know? I'll tell you. The angle that you're trying to find is an obtuse angle. It's bigger than 90. So once the angle is obtuse, you're going to get numerator, which is negative. So don't be alarmed if it works out to be a negative number. Okay. So next step. What is my next step? Help me out here. Go ahead. You put the, sorry? Good. So x on the left, as Sarah just said, is going to be cosine to the minus 1 of 143 over 728. And that's where you come in. I needed to put that together and give me an answer to two decimal places. I'm going to, thanks for offering. I'm going to go in the back there and ask Hashim for his answer. Hashim, grab your calculator. Give us a correct answer to two decimal places. So it's cosine to the minus 1 of whatever that fraction works out to be, 143 over 728. And it asks us to the nearest 100. It looks like all of them are to the nearest 100. I need your answer, please. Okay, don't object to that. Accept that as good faith. 78 point what? 67. Okay. Check your answer again and then tell me to give me the thumbs up or the thumbs down. Thumbs up. All right. We're at 6 and 9 right now. We want to get to 7 and 9. And we do. All right. Do I do one more? We'll do one last one. Does this pass the sine law test? Akifa says what? It does. What makes you think so? Which combination are you seeing that makes you think it's going to pass the sine law test? Thank you very much. There is your combination right there. We're going to start off with that combination. Now, should I put the 5 on top or the sine of 87 on the top? Which one goes on top? Trying to see what we're trying to find here. The sine of 87 on top. Right. Right, exactly. I'll take that. Thank you very much. Yeah, you can put that. Actually, you might need this in case you don't have your own. There you go. Okay. All right. Because we're doing trigonometry right now, so it's very calculator intense. All right. So what we just heard, I think it was from Atifa, was that first of all, the combination for sine is there. It's valid, and therefore we can go ahead and use the sine law. And what Atifa also said is that because we're trying to find a missing angle, we're going to put the angles on top. So we're going to say the sine of 87 over the side, which is 5, is equal to the sine of the thing we don't know, which is x, over the side, which is opposite to it, which is 3. Have I left anybody behind? Let me know. Okay. So, Emily, what do we do again next? What's the next step in the process? Tell me what that looks like. You're right, but tell me what that looks like. Sorry, say it again. So the 3 times the sine of 87, good. That's over what? It's equal to the sine of x. Correct? Okay. So, what is my x equal to again? What's that next step look like? Welcome back to the class. Sahil. What's my next step going to look like? Good. So x is equal to the sine to the minus 1 of whatever this thing is. 3 sine 87 all over 5. Two decimal places. That is going to... Oh, you have an answer for us back there, Tatifa. Hold the answer for me, please. Let me hear what Aria in the front is going to tell us, and then you can give us the thumbs up or thumbs down. Let's see if you can confirm or refute what Aria is going to give us right now. Sure. And by the way, it's important that you round it correctly, so I need 2 decimal places. 36.80. 80. 36.80. 80. 36.80. 80. 36.80. 80. 36.80. 80. 36.80. 80. 36.80. 80. 36.80. 80. 36.80. 80. 36.80. 80. 36.80. 80. 36.80. 80. 36.80. 80. 36.80. 80. 36.80. 80. 36.80. 80. 36.80. 80. 36.80. 80. 36.80. 80. 36.80. 80. 36.80. 80. 36.80. 80. 36.80. 80. 36.80. 80. 36.80. 80. 36.80. 80. 36.80. 80. 36.80. 80. 36.80. 80. 36.80. 80. 36.80. 80. 36.80. 80. 36.80. 80. 36.80. 80. 36.80. 80. 36.80. 80. 36.80. 80. 36.80. 80. 36.80. 80. 36.80. 80. 36.80. 80. 36.80. 80. 36.80. 80. 36.80. 80. 36.80. 80. 36.80. 80. 36.80. 80. 36.80. 80. 36.80. I'm getting this. Okay. All right, sure. I'm not saying that she's right and you're wrong. I don't know, because I haven't tried it yet. I just know I need two decimal places. So sine to the minus 1 of 3 times the sine of 87 over 5. Get this, if you get the same answer, we're just going to go with what you say. We're just going to tell Latifa, we're just going to go in a different direction. I'm going to put that in. Our goal is to get an answer which makes this become 8, which it did.